lives, that will change history, 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 that will change history. That will be the most beautiful day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. To everybody that has decided to stop by tonight, I see quite a few returning viewers as well as quite a few new viewers as well. Thank you guys again so much for swinging by this evening for our Ukraine War Report for May the 12th of 2022. We had a few days off there as we made some upgrades and changes here to the stream and the studio as well. Again, we're back here this evening, May the 12th. It's a Thursday here. Again, currently about 3 a.m. In Ukraine on Friday. Again, about 8 p.m. here on the East Coast in the United States. Hello to everybody. Jack, thank you so much for tuning back in. Says, hey, Nemico, hope you didn't miss us too much. I missed you guys quite a bit. Michelle Kilpatrick, thank you so much for tuning in. Miss Chris, thank you so much for the support over there on Twitch. DJ Fish 2, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for the support over there on Twitch as well. Kenders, thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. Mythical, nice to see you back. Lori, Doug Wilson, thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Dallas, thank you so much for tuning back in. Jenny McGowan, awesome to see you. Jillian Lips, thank you so much for tuning back in. Again, Kenders, thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. Much appreciated. Thank you for your continued support over there. Teeth 4N, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Miss Fishy Fish Eye Eater, thank you so much for tuning in this evening as well. We're going to get tonight started by covering our main headlines for about the past 12 to 24 hours or so. We'll kind of cover a few things that have happened over the past 48 to 72 as well, again, to get everybody kind of caught up on what's been going on here, again, in Ukraine, in this ongoing conflict here. Croatin Sensaden, thank you so much for subscribing over there on Twitch. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Beer Nutter, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Efeking 56, thank you so much for subscribing there. Trippy G, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Aggressive Therapy, thank you so much for tuning in this evening as well, and for subscribing. CalGal says, tuning in from the central coast of California. $6.09 a gallon fuel out there right now. Very interesting. I know those fuel prices have been fluctuating quite substantially across the board here, not only in the United States, but in Europe as well. Again, we saw that kind of spike at the start of the war, at the onset of the war, and then prices kind of settled down for a little bit. But we've had some other spikes here, in recent weeks in certain areas. I know some gas prices are still a little bit higher in some places than most would like. Thank you to everybody that just cheered there. Kenders for cheering the 100 bits there. Miss Chris, thank you for cheering the 100 bits as well. Thank you guys to everybody that is tuning in this evening for the support. It's highly appreciated, guys. To everybody that wants to submit anything for this evening's report, if you haven't already, you can either send a PM over to me on Discord, or you can submit it in our Situation Room. After we get through our main headlines, we will be hopping over into the Situation Room to look at some of that community aggregated news, again, that our community has been hard at work on over the past about 12 to 24 hours here. So again, first we're going to go through our main headlines for this evening. Keenan Neighbors, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. He says, Nemico Network, hi, and I sent you a message on Discord. Good job, Keenan. I will definitely take a look at that here shortly. To everybody that is sending me PMs over there, I will try to get to everybody's this evening on tonight's stream. Again, take a look at all those community aggregated reports. However, again, we don't always have time to get through to get to all of them, but we will try our best. Uktin Attila says 457 here in Central Coast, California, where Uktin is at, so a little bit cheaper where Uktin is at there in the Central Coast there in California. Miss Chris 620 just cheered 100 bits. Thank you so much, Miss Chris, for the support there. Actually, I think I read that twice. Yeah, I think I saw that twice here in the chat. Speedy Squirrel, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Says fuel is the same price here as in the UAE as in Rhode Island, USA. Very interesting that those prices are similar there. Smuggies, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Glad to see you. Mimi, glad to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Says a guy in Avastal plant posted on Facebook he would like Elon Musk to help them because Elon can do what everyone thinks is impossible. Interesting poster. Yeah, I've heard a lot of news about Elon Musk and Starlink as well over the past a week or so here. There's been a few reports out about that. Maybe we'll touch on those later in the show this evening. Lori says prices suck. Even eggs went from 48 cents to just under $3 in 2 weeks, I think she meant to say there. Yeah, that is a pretty drastic price increase there. Yeah, even here where I'm at on the East Coast, we've seen prices go up across the board, not just for fuel, but for food and utilities as well. Hugo, thank you so much for tuning back in. Nice to see you back here, man. Says tuning in from LA. He says evening at Nemico from LA. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight, Hugo. Glad to see you. Glad to see you, Cindy. Thank you so much for tuning back in this evening as well. I guess, guys, without further ado, again, just really quickly, I want to just thank everybody who is showing the support over there over on Twitch. I think we just successfully completed our hype train over there. Level 3, awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Chris. Again, I'm still trying to get the hang of Twitch and figure out how all those systems work. But again, I thank you guys a ton for the support over there. Without further ado, we're going to get into this evening's main headlines again for May 12th of 2022 on this ongoing conflict, which is seeming to just grind on here in Ukraine. Again, the conflict is not just in Ukraine anymore. It has spread arguably to both Russia and Moldova. So it's not the fighting is no longer primarily in Ukraine. There are attacks, there are strikes that are occurring outside of Ukrainian territory. Main headlines tonight. Finland announced it wants to join NATO. Again, Russia's invasion of Ukraine prompted the country, again, which shares a almost 830-mile border with Russia, to shift from its long history of neutrality and military non-alignment, again, to looking to now join NATO since the invasion has occurred. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov called Finland's entry into NATO a threat to Russia. In a recent poll, nearly three-quarters of Finns supported joining the military alliance. Finland is already a member of the European Union and has been a NATO partner country, so a partner with NATO, with that military bloc there, since 1994. Again, this is a kind of seen as a threat in Russia's eyes. Again, this isn't the first country which has publicly stated that it is moving now to join NATO since the invasion has began. Siemens, a company there, is leaving Russia after nearly 170 years. The German industrial giant puts all new business and international deliveries in Russia and Belarus, so not just Russia there, but also Belarus, on hold at the start of the war, so back on the 24th of February. Now it says it will exit the Russian market entirely, so they will be pulling all of their company's operations out of the country, again, calling the decision a direct consequence of Russia's war in Ukraine. Siemens employs some 3,000 people in Russia, again, according to Reuters. Most of its business there involves service work on high-speed trains and railway systems. The Russian-installed government in the Ukrainian port city of Kherson, which we've talked about many times on the show over the past few weeks here, will ask Russian President Vladimir Putin to annex the area soon, according to Russian state media. It's the latest evidence that Russia wants to claim more territory in Ukraine. Again, in response, Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian president's office, vowed, quote, "The Ukrainian army will liberate Kherson." Again, I've I've talked about Kherson quite a bit over the past few weeks here, as it has been almost under constant conflict there between the Ukrainian forces and the Russian forces. Again, at one point, the Russians took control over the city and the surrounding area. They tried to instate their own city council there, which failed. Has failed in certain areas, but now they again have kind of looked like they have set up officially kind of a puppet government there, a local puppet government there in the city of Kherson and the surrounding area. Again, that installed government there now has asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to annex the area officially there in Ukraine. The UN Human Rights Council voted in a special session to investigate possible rights abuses in northern Ukraine. China and Eritrea voted against the resolution. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet referred to human rights violations, egregious human rights violations that have occurred in not just Kiev, but also the surrounding areas around Kiev, Chernihiv as well. Again, the UN suspended Russia from its top human rights body last month. Again, really quickly, just want to thank everybody that is tuning in this evening. Speedy Squirrel says fuel is $3.66 USD per gallon here this month. Usually it's less than $1 USD per gallon. Yeah, where we are, it's about a buck or two higher than it usually is as well. Still, it did come down a little bit. Again, when the war first broke out there, those prices were really, really high. They have since then kind of come down a little bit, but then I would say the recent past week or two, I've seen kind of a little bit of a trend upward, at least for my local area here. Chris Case says, trade you Speedy. I got $2 a liter here. Not sure where Chris is hailing from here, but that is a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I think where we are here, it's fluctuated between about $1 to $2 above where it usually is. Jill Smith says 8 a gallon in Australia. Oof, is that in Australia? I don't know what the conversion is. Is that USD or is that Australian currency there? Yeah, of course. Yeah, as Barbara says, summer travel demand does drive up prices. That is very true. Yeah, and again, now as at least the northern hemisphere here has begun to thaw out, again, I guess that does correlate to that price increase we see. Fancy Hat says mine is back to the peak of 468. Again, really quickly, just like to thank not only everybody that's tuning in tonight, but my mods in the YouTube live chat. I'm pretty sure Tango Down, I think he's in there somewhere. We got Fancy Hat. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. To everybody else that is tuning in this evening, to all my mods that are tuning in both from Discord, you guys deserve again a round of applause. Thank you so much to everybody that is tuning in this evening. Continuing on with our primary headlines for this evening. Again, Ukraine welcomes positive changes in Germany's position on the Ukrainian conflict. The Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba praised Germany's response to the war with Russia, saying Germany has now moved in, quote, the right direction following tensions between Kiev and Berlin in recent weeks. Quote, we have seen an evolving position of Germany on the most important issues. This position is moving in the right direction, Kuleba told reporters in Berlin on Thursday, saying this could be the supply of weapons to Ukraine or the sanctions that need to be imposed against Russia. He said, quote, we have seen the positive dynamic. In a statement earlier by Ukrainian First Lady, a quote from that saying, Russia is waging war, quote, against our children. At least 3 people have died and 12 were injured after a school and a boarding school were shelled at night by Russian forces in northern Ukrainian city of Novgorod-Servitsky. Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska said as she accused Russia of waging war against our children. Again, that quote from that release there from her. Again, another quote from that saying, "Tonight, the Russian army fired rockets from a plane at a school and boarding school in the city of Novgorod-Seversky, Chernihiv region. Rescues are currently working there, but we already know of 3 dead and 12 injured. The bombing was aimed. The Russians, who claim to be attacking only military installations, are waging war against our children. In fact, they are waging war against our future," Zelensky said in a Telegram post Thursday. Again, she added that according to the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, 1,635 educational institutions in the country have been affected by bombing and shelling, with 126 being completely destroyed since the beginning of the war. Again, in a statement from the German Vice Chancellor earlier, and the economy minister Robert Habeck again accused Russia on Thursday of using energy as, quote, a weapon, following an announcement by the Russian government on Wednesday to impose sanctions on 31 foreign energy companies in retaliation for Western penalties over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Quote from that report saying, "It has to be said that the situation is coming to a head in such a way that the use of energy as a weapon is now being realized in several areas." Habeck told reporters at a news conference in Berlin, "This is not the first time Habeck has said that Russia is using energy as, quote, a weapon." Again, this coming as Russia has shut off gas supplies to many different countries in Europe. And as other European countries look to alienate themselves from that Russian fuel supply as to put pressure on the Russian economy. Families of the Avestal fighters appealed to Turkish president to initiate an extraction procedure at that Avestal steel plant in Mariupol. Again, they sent an emotional appeal to the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, urging him to, quote, be a hero and initiate an extraction procedure for all remaining fighters at the plant. At a news briefing in Kiev, a father of a 18-year-old fighter urged the Turkish leader to seize a, quote, historical opportunity to go down in history as a peacemaker and as a hero. Again, that comes as that fight there in Mariupol continues on over that Avestal Steelworks factory. Again, they are calling for an extraction procedure, an evacuation of sorts to occur there to get those Ukrainian fighters out of that area. With that, wraps up our primary headlines for this evening. We're now going to switch over to our community aggregated reporting from our Situation Room over on the Discord server. So, our first post here, again, bear with me, I'm getting our Situation Room open on the Discord. Our first post here comes from, let me see here, where will we start? We'll start with Carbon here. Carbon posted this in the Situation Room earlier. This comes from the Kiev Independent on Twitter. We're actually going to switch over to our main screen here so we can see that a little bit closer. There we go. Let's get this sign up prompt out of the way here. Again, this comes from the Kiev Independent, a verified source that we've turned to here many times on Twitter here. This is a statement from Zelensky saying Russia has destroyed 570 healthcare facilities since the 24th of February. Out of that total, Russia has completely destroyed 101 hospitals. Again, Zelensky said during his nightly address, quote, "It's barbarism," he added in that statement there. So not only did we just see a minute ago that report of how many schools have been destroyed here, but now as well how many healthcare facilities. Some interesting statistics here, looking at how many of these uh, targets have been hit in Ukraine. Again, thank you to Carbon for posting this over on the Situation Room. We have another post here actually from Carbon that I'll show here, also from the Kiev Independent. Again, this apparently satellite pictures show expansion of mass graves near Mariupol. We've been covering that in the past few weeks here. In fact, I was showing you guys those Maxar images a few weeks back of those graves being excavated there. those graves being dug there in and around Mariupol as the Russians look to conduct what they're calling, what Western analysts are calling a cleanup effort in Mariupol, so they can avoid the publicity that they got in places like Bucha. Again, the Planet Labs satellite has recorded changes in 2 villages in the Donetsk Oblast northwest of the Russian-occupied Mariupol. Radio Free Europe / Radio Liberty's Schemes Investigate project reported. Interesting. Very interesting report. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that situation here as the conflict in Mariupol comes inevitably to a close. Our next post here comes from a longtime contributor here, Kayuka, from ukrainiform.net. Again, this is a article here talking about the guerrilla movement on rise in occupied Crimea. It says here, in the temporarily occupied Crimea, the guerrilla movement against the Russian invaders has reportedly intensified. This was announced by Verkhovna Rada Commissioner for Human Rights, Lyudmila Denisyova, again, via Telegram. According to the OM Buds person, in March, the Russians started to move their families out of Crimea in mass, while the sales of real estate have grown rapidly. Over the 2.5 months of the war, the Kremlin began to realize the moods of the Crimea residents are changing. Crimeans are waiting for the liberation of the peninsula from the Russovist invasion. The guerrilla movement against the Russians intensified in Crimea. Again, Denisova has wrote. So again, it looks like there is some resistance there manifesting in the Crimean region. Very interesting report there coming from Kayuka. On our Situation Room. Really quickly, guys, if you guys would like to have probably what I would say is one of the most reliable and up-to-date in real-time sources of community aggregated reporting and news, again, of what's going on here in and around this conflict, the Ukrainian-Russian conflict here. Probably one of the best places to do that is over on our Discord server. There's a link to that in the description below. That's discord.gg/Nemico. Everybody can join the Situation Room, which is one of the channels over there in the Discord server. By far is again, as some of you in the live chat have stated before, it's what a lot of people call a whole nother galaxy of information here on what's going on with this war. If you'd like to read along with these reports that I'm bringing to you right now, or even provide to these reports, submit your reports for these live streams, for these evening reports, again, you can head over to the Situation Room over on the Discord server. Moving on here, our next post here comes from Charlie over on the Situation Room here. Again, this comes from express.co.uk. It's an article here talking about Putin's land grab bid for the whole of Ukraine seized as Russian troops flee and drop plans. Again, I'll read you a few bits from this article here. The plans emerged as Ukrainian authorities investigate the soldiers' dropped belongings left on the battlefield, which include horrifying information about Russia's aims. Alexei Suchayev, of the director of Ukraine's State Bureau of Investigation, also known as the DBR, said in a statement that, quote, important documents of the Russian military were found. He said, DBR investigators have found important documents of the Russian military which clearly give the understanding that Russia was preparing to seize the entire territory of Ukraine. Quote, all this information will be studied and attached to the case file. Investigators inspected an area of more than 2,000 hectares in the Trostinets Sumy region and seized personal belongings of soldiers to identify violations and war crimes committed. According to the Bureau's report, the torture of Ukrainian citizens had been identified during its investigation. Again, so very interesting report here saying that there is documents, official Russian military documents that have been seized that show that they were looking to fully capture the entirety of the Ukrainian territory there, of the country of Ukraine. Again, our next post here comes from Lords of Acid, a longtime contributor over on the Situation Room. This comes from OSINT Defender over on Twitter here. It says Russian strategic bomber net is now active. meaning Tu-22M Blinder and Tu-95 Bear standoff capsule strategic bombers are now airborne, and cruise missile strikes on Ukraine can most likely be expected within the coming hours. Now, keep in mind, guys, this was 2:37 p.m. my time, all right, on the East Coast here, okay? So that was just, I would say, it was about 5 or 6 hours ago now that we did see the activity on these radio frequencies. So when we hop over into live UA map here shortly, again, I can expect us to see some corroborating evidence from these earlier reports of that radio traffic that we saw earlier. Our next post here comes from Yoroko Izo. Again, this comes from Kiev Independent on Twitter. Again, saying, due to a media report here, Russia may cut off gas supply to Finland on May 13th. So that is tomorrow. Key Finnish politicians have been warned that Russia may cut off the gas supply to Finland on May 13th due to the country's potential accession to NATO. Finland's media outlet, Iltalehti, reports citing anonymous sources. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that media outlet name right there again. But as Finland looks to possibly join NATO here, again, Russia retaliating by looking to cut off the gas supply to that country. That is definitely a very escalatory move in this conflict, without a doubt. Our next post here comes from Carbon. Again, thank you, Carbon, for sending this over. This was actually our first post posted today in the Situation Room from last night, so this will be the last one for this evening here. But again, this comes from Intel Dodge on Twitter here. Again, an unverified Twitter source here, but it's a very interesting post here saying, talk about the armed forces soldiers arrive in Germany to train on the Panzer Haubitze 2000, a German 155 self-propelled howitzer system. It fires 5 shells at its target, with all of them hitting at once. The video attached shows how it works. Ukraine will receive 13 of these systems. Again, let's watch this video here. So absolutely a beast of a self-propelled artillery system here. Fires 5 shells at its target, with all of them hitting at one time. Is that just one round? Is it one round that separates into 5 projectiles? Unstinkable says at Nemico Network, to be fair, the closer you are, the more shells you can land at the same time. But my bet is that Ukraine will stay at a safe distance and just pummel their targets that way, out of enemy artillery range. That would be the smart decision. So with that, guys, we're going to be hopping over into our open source map here at ukraine.liveuamap.com. There's a link to this in the description below if you guys would like to follow along with us. We're going to be going back to about the 12-hour mark, and we're going to be getting everybody caught up on the reports here for about the past 12 hours or so. So these are individual reports that have come out of Ukraine, again, over the past about 12 hours. We'll start here at the 14-hour mark here. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg welcomes the joint statement by President Nihisto and Prime Minister Marin Sana supporting an application for NATO membership without delay. This is a sovereign decision by Finland, which NATO fully respects. Again, that is our main headline today, is, again, that NATO membership, again, being acquired there by Finland, looking to acquire NATO membership there. 10 hours ago here, 4 missile strikes at Kremenchuk refinery. Also explosions at the Poltava district. Head of regional administration has reported, again, you can see where those strikes occurred, in central Ukraine. 9 hours ago, more Russian missile strikes at Kremenchuk refinery and critical infrastructure in the Poltava region. Okay, so there was multiple strikes that occurred in that region. Now you can see a picture here on screen of the smoke rising from those strikes that occurred in and around Kremenchuk refinery and the critical infrastructure there. Seven hours ago, according to Ukrainian sources, the Russians once again attempted to cross Seversky Donets River near Bilohorivka earlier this afternoon. It went about as well as their previous attempts there had gone. A lot of talk as well over the past few days here of Russian pontoon bridges being set up in certain areas, and the Ukrainians knocking out, I would say, about 99% of those pontoon bridges that we've seen the Russians trying to install there to make advances in some of these areas. Again, you can see where that was located here in eastern Ukraine, along that river there. So scroll out here. You can see the river here that they were trying to cross with those pontoon bridges. Again, the Ukrainians put a... actually, I'm not sure if this location here... I know somewhere... I'm pretty sure along this stretch river it was where they were trying to install those pontoon bridges earlier yesterday, I believe it was. However, I'm not sure if this report here was a pontoon bridge or if they were just trying to cross in a vehicle here. Again, but you can see a picture here of that Russian vehicle caught up there in the river bank. 6 hours ago here, head of Odessa regional administration confirmed auxiliary vessel of the Russian Navy, Veslavrad Bobrov, again caught fire near Zemini Island as a result of actions of the Ukrainian army. So, another Russian naval ship here, guys, brought down by the Ukrainian military at this time. You can see here on the map where that, again, where that strike was located here. Odessa is located to the north here, and this is where that strike occurred here. 5 hours ago, heavy explosions were reported in Mykolaiv. You can see where those reported there, not too far from Kherson. 5 hours ago as well, explosions reported in Zaporizhia. If you go back to the 17-hour mark, you can see other strikes occurred in Zaporizhia as well. You can see that building was struck there. 3 people, unfortunately, were killed there. 12 wounded as a result of that strike 17 hours ago, which occurred in Zaporizhia. But then you jump back up to 5 hours, and we also have explosions that were reported in Zaporizhia as well. 4 hours ago, Russian troops in the Privedini village near Rubizin. As seen in this photo here, you can see those Russian troops there, again, claiming victory over that area in Ukraine there, in Rubizin.
Салам алейкум всем. Совместно нашими друзьями, союзники освободили поселок Южное. И теперь будем продвигаться дальше. Ахмад Сила! Аллаху Акбар! Слава!
Again, you can see them, again, claiming victory there. In that village of Pividin in Rubizin there. 3 hours ago, Russian missile hit the Cherkasky village west to Slovyansk in the Donetsk region. You can see damage at that building here in this picture on screen. Yeah, those do look like they were Chechens. They were obviously Muslim there, Islamic, from what I could tell. 40 minutes ago here. In fact, this is our nightly round here, guys, of aerial alert sirens. This is what we're finishing up our open source map here with tonight, as usual, unfortunately. 40 minutes ago, Kharkivska Oblast, Zaporizhia Oblast, Chernivska Oblast, Poltavska Oblast, Kryvyi Rih, Dnipro Oblast, all aerial alert sirens. You can see all the ones highlighted in yellow are the ones I just mentioned there. 37 minutes ago, Donetsk Oblast, aerial alert, red alert, aerial threat siren sounding now. 33 minutes ago, Sumaska Oblast, so near Sumy. 27 minutes ago, Kiev, alert siren sounding now. 26 minutes ago, Kiev Oblast, Cherkasska, Vinnytska Oblast, all alert sirens sounding in those areas as well. Zhytomyr and Zhytomyrska Oblast, we also had sirens sounding. Last but not least here, Kryvyi Oblast. You can also see Kryovo Hradaska. That's a mouthful there again. Apologies for the lack of pronunciation there, but again, you can see all of those reported air raid sirens, again, coming in the past about 30 minutes here. I'll go ahead and refresh just to make sure we're not missing any. But I guarantee within about another hour here, we'll probably see some more popping up onto the screen here. As we come to, what time is it here in Ukraine? It's about 3:37 a.m. Ukraine time. Again, at this hour. We had another post come in here on our Situation Room that I think is worth mentioning. Comes from Common Fishbowl. Thank you so much, Common Fishbowl, for sending this over to the Situation Room. I'll end with this here, then we'll switch over to our Q&A. Again, this comes from Kiev Independent. This is a post from Vereshchuk, again, saying negotiations underway to begin evacuating Ukrainian soldiers from the Avastal, starting with seriously wounded. Again, Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk announced on May 12th that Red Cross and UN representatives are meeting with Russia to negotiate the evacuation, again, of those troops in that area of that Avastal steelworks. Not Pocky, again, switching over here, guys. That concludes our open source reports there from Live UA Map. I'm going to switch over and kind of do a little bit of a Q&A here with our live chats both on Twitch, YouTube, and in Discord. Not Pocky says, great day outside, got so much done. I'm glad to hear that, Pocky. Make sure you close those barn doors, eh? Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Sakura speculates, he says, I know Russia will attack Baltic states in August. We hope not. Again, it does look like the fighting in at least Ukraine will be, if it's still going in August, it is slated by U.S. analysts to be very fierce fighting in July and August due to the fact that that Ukrainian mud, the Ukrainian ground there is going to be dried out. It's going to be good and dried out. Again, we're expecting to see some increase in the escalations there as summer progresses here. So I'm reading a message here from Keenan. Keenan says, Nemico, I got a message today from Vicky in Kherson, who was in the middle of the invasion at first. She is totally safe now in Greece, and it's been long enough that I asked her if she would allow you to do an interview. Says, I'm waiting for a reply. Okay, well, yeah, I look forward to that. I'd love to do that. I know there's quite a few people that we've looked at having on for interviews, and again, we're still trying to get a lot of that stuff lined up. In fact, there was a gentleman, a British gentleman, that's still on my list from like a month or two ago that had done a humanitarian aid drive from the UK to the Polish border in Ukraine, and I was hoping to have him on for an interview as well. But I've been pretty swamped here between this and work here. I've been pretty swamped, so we've been looking to get them on for some interviews. I'd love to have her on for an interview as well. I think that sounds like it would make for a very interesting story there, hearing about her experience there in Kherson. Rocketman asks, Fishbowl, the cousin of Fish Eye? You know, I was thinking the same thing when I read that a second ago. That's possible. Marcia says, I've been missing in action, missed the chat. Thank you so much for Marcia for tuning back in. I know some people sometimes need to, take a few days off to take care of things on their end. That's totally cool, but I'm glad to see that you're tuning back in now. Glad to have you. Marcia also asks, how is Ukraine doing? Still holding? Yes, very much so. Not only is morale high, but their spirits are high as well, and they are holding out against the Russian invasion at this time. Lost B83, miss you too. Thank you so much for tuning back in this evening. Marcia says, Nemico, how are you? Any news on Mehmet? We had Mehmet on for an interview last week. He's doing pretty good. I'm pretty sure he's still in Kiev at this time. Again, he's just trying to keep his head up and stay safe. They're still under constant threat from air attacks there in Kiev. He's been trying to stay busy. I hope to talk to him in the coming days here, possibly even have him on for another interview in the coming weeks here. Again, love to keep updated with Mehmet and what's going on in Kiev there, in that capital city. Smuggy says it was a beautiful day in VT, warm and sunny. That sounds amazing. Susan Maxwell says, hola from Mexico. Thank you so much, Susan, for tuning in tonight from Mexico there. I bet it's beautiful down there this evening. Not Pocky says, nearly 100 degrees in Michigan today. In my yard, so hot. Well, that sounds like a nice change from the winter weather. Kenders asks, so is the basketball chick still in Russia? I'm pretty sure you're talking of Greiner. I think her last name there. I believe she is. I'll have to get an update on that situation. I'll have to get an update for tomorrow's report on Greiner there. Again, it's been, I think, since last week's reports that we talked about her. Custom Cluster says, any news on the Kiev cams? So at this time, cameras in the capital city, of Ukraine, in Kiev, are still against the law. Again, have been banned by the Ukrainian military there, the Ukrainian police in Kiev. However, there are still cameras in the outlying areas around the city. So what you would call Kiev Oblast. All right. So you can think about it like a county. All right. So I don't know if any of you are from the United States, you might know what a county is. If you're from Canada, you could think about it kind of like a province, except provinces are a little bit bigger. Provinces are more like a state for those of you here in the United States. It basically it's a fancy word for region. All right. And so with Kiev, you still have that outlying region. Okay. You have the outlying region. Different cities and stuff, Irpin, Bucha, in and around all of those cities, there are still cameras online. We have a few of those cameras on our 24/7 cam stream. However, for the main city, like the main square there, the Maidan Square, the Victory Square there in Ukraine, in Kiev. Again, those are still offline at this time, including CCTV cameras as well. That might change though as the war progresses. Yeah, for those asking about Mehmet for updates, again, he does stream games. Again, he doesn't do the live cam streams anymore. Again, as they have, outlawed those cam streams there in Kiev. However, he does still live stream his gaming when he is online. Yeah, and we're actually hoping to do a gaming stream together at some point, me and Mehmet. That's the plan there. Lori asks, Nemico, what are your thoughts on the $40 billion in aid to Ukraine being blocked in the Senate? Well, at this time, I'm still waiting to see how that kind of progresses. I mean, I definitely think that they, can use all the help that they can get, and that these delays mean human lives. Delays like that cost human lives. That's what I think about that. Julia says, I gotta go. Thanks, Nemico. Well, thank you so much, Julia. To anybody that missed the report tonight, we will, as usual, be uploading it to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Nemico Network for those that missed it, for those that want to rewatch it. Marcia asks, is the center of Kiev still standing, or has it been destroyed? I think about the images we used to see on camera. No, Kiev is still 110% standing. Yeah, they are. They're doing really well. In fact, in some places, they've even taken down like roadblocks and removed like the some of the tank hedgehogs in certain places around Kiev. Rankin asks a really good question. Asks, do you think it was a good move by the West to block all Russian media from easily reporting across all platforms? Well, it's good for the Ukrainians, that's for sure. It's good for the Ukrainians. It's good for the propaganda war. It's good for the West's propaganda war, right? Of course, right? In an ideal world, would you want to have 100% free speech across the board? Of course. Would you want to have one side's voice to be censored? No. But in a war, when you are using information as a weapon, there's a difference. All right, and so that's what we're seeing here is information weaponized. Okay, and that is exactly why Russian media and all forms of pro-Russian news reporting have been blocked on Western platforms. And again, I think we'll continue to see that as this war progresses. Red-blooded American, thank you so much for tuning in. Close Danger, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Glad to see you. Glad to see everybody that's tuning back in tonight. Again, a lot of familiar faces tuning back into the stream. Itchy the Killer says, thank you, Nemico. Thank you, Itchy, for tuning back in tonight. Red-Blooded American says, Nemico Network, thanks for your reliable, informative reporting. Well, thank you so much, Red-Blooded American. I'm doing quite a bit in the background here to improve upon the format, guys, continuously. We're constantly, trying to make little improvements, every time we do a report. Especially as the war grinds on, I'm going to need to, look at making this more sustainable. Finding ways to, keeping you guys engaged and making sure that the information we're bringing you guys is the best, that it's factual and that it's up to date, and not to mention just keeping everybody informed on what's been going on, especially like when we take a night or two off from the stream. I like to get people kind of caught up on what's been going on, just so that everybody's on the same page. Speedy Squirrel says, thanks for a great report. Nemico, thank you so much, Speedy Squirrel, for tuning in this evening. Again, guys, I will be uploading the report to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nemico Network, after it's done live here. Again, if you're looking for any of our sources, any of the links to anything, if you want to find links to where you can join our Discord server, if you want to find links to the cameras, if you want to find links to our sources, our maps, links where you can donate to Ukraine, links to the merch, links to where you can support the channel, all that stuff, you can find that in the description below this stream or below the video, depending on how you're watching it. If you can't find something there, the best place to find it is over on the Discord server. As Common Fishbowl says in the chat here, she says, she says, again, I'm not sure there, it says, we over on the Discord are always down to chat and update people. Yes, exactly, guys. When I'm not here reporting, guys, our community of well over 15,000 members and growing is over there on the Discord server, not only aggregating the news, collecting this information, they're vetting posts, they're fact-checking stuff, they're geolocating cameras, geolocating when you get a report in, they find out where it's from, they fact-check it. And not just in the text chat channels, which we have many of for all of these different topics, but also the voice chat channels as well. If you guys want to hop in and talk to real people about what's going on, have a great discussion, a great debate, that is by far, without a doubt, the best place on the internet to do it at this time. It's the biggest Discord server that we know of that is covering the ongoing events in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and on a broader scale, it's just a great community of not just open source intelligence enthusiasts, not just military and journalists or military personnel and journalists, but also IT enthusiasts, gamers, musicians, everybody from all walks of life is welcome in our community over there. And again, guys, we're glad to have you. Jarkin, thank you so much for subscribing. To everybody tonight that subscribed on Twitch, thank you so much. To everybody that subscribed on YouTube tonight, thank you so much. To everybody that cheered, I just saw Miss Chris cheered some bits there. Thank you guys so much for the hype train earlier as well. Thank you so much for the cheers, guys. It means a lot. It really does, and it helps support the channel. It helps us improve and make improvements here as we move forward. Again, I got a lot of video content working on that's coming down the pipeline for you, not just open source intelligence stuff, but also non-Ukraine related content as well. So we have a whole bunch of cool stuff coming down the pipeline for you guys that I'm really excited to share with you. The website is also coming down the pipeline as well, where we're going to start archiving, cataloging a lot of this content. I know a few of you have mentioned, the Discord's not your thing, and so we want to have a centralized place that's free for everybody, where you can go and you can be part of the discussion, be part of the community, and also just an excellent place to stay up to date on what's going on, join in on the discussions, maybe help contribute if you want to be a contributor, etc. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. This has been your nightly Ukraine War Report for May 12th of 2022. New reports weekday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 3 a.m. Ukraine time. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It's the best way to get the algorithm's attention, guys. Smash that like button. Again, it's a really good way to support the channel as well. And again, get the algorithm's attention, get the video noticed, and get this information into the hands of a lot more people. Again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to get notified of when new streams or new videos go live here on the channel. Until next time, guys, you've been watching Nemico.
Something that will change our daily lives.